Over the past couple of years, we've been closely watching and studying Ripple's strategic moves. To be honest, 2025 has been jam-packed with events that need our attention. We need to keep track of, study, and put together a lot of information to figure out where Ripple is going, especially when it comes to XRP and the XRP system. Let's talk about RLUSD, which is one of the most important pieces of this game. The RLUSD is an important part of Ripple's economy. At first, a lot of people thought it was bad for XRP. Lots of people were worried that Ripple was going to replace XRP with a safe coin in their tech infrastructure. In their minds, if they already had a safe coin, why would they need XRP on the XRP PPL? This part, on the other hand, makes XRP more useful and the underlying ledger stronger. As for how well RLUSD has done as a stablecoin, its overall value is getting close to $800 million and keeps going up. We can see that the total value of RLUSD has grown by about 8.28% in the last month by looking at on-chain measures. But this is what's really important. The amount of money transferred each month tells the whole story. In just 30 days, growth has reached over 62%. And RLUSD alone is responsible for $5.5 billion in monthly transfers. This measure is very important because it shows that people really want RLUSD, compared to September's numbers, which were about $4.4 billion. We've already reached almost $2 billion, and it's only the middle of October. Activities related to RLUSD are getting busier in a number of areas. Not only are smart changes and the total value of the coin on the blockchain growing faster, but people are also using this stablecoin more. That's great news for the networks underneath where it's installed. It's possible to say that most of it is on Ethereum. You are completely right. 88% of it is currently on Ethereum. That being said, I've already said that I think this spread will change over time. Now, look, I get the point. Not all people like Ethereum as a network. I get it. But we have to admit that Ethereum is one of the most liquid places for safe coins right now. Just in the last 30 days, almost $2 trillion worth of stablecoins have gone through Ethereum. Ethereum is the most liquid network for both stablecoins and tokenization applications. This is why most of the supply of many stablecoins, like RLUSD, is currently centered on Ethereum. But when big businesses start to really scale their processes on these networks, they'll run into big problems with Ethereum. After that, they'll look at other networks that might meet their needs better. In this case, the XRP ledger would be a great choice for these organizations to move toward. When that happens, a lot of stock will move from Ethereum to XRP and maybe even other networks as well. Besides that, we've been seeing some big changes happen around Ripple, such as important high-level talks. The news was shared by Gilles Roth, who is the finance minister of Luxembourg. Our meeting with Ripple was great, and they were making good progress toward getting their operating license in Luxembourg. Ripple seems to be setting up shop in key areas, especially in the EU, with Luxembourg standing out as a particular highlight. We talked about their plans for Europe and Luxembourg, and I reaffirmed our commitment to digital innovation. 𝗙𝗶ศ์, who is the top legal officer, gave us a lot of information. The EU was the first to set broad rules for digital assets, and countries like Luxembourg are now actively adopting these rules. Thanks to the finance minister of Luxembourg and his team for a great meeting last week. Ripple is excited about the future of Luxembourg and the EU. There are many good things to say about this meeting. Also, 𝗙𝗶ศ์, who is CEO and Managing Director for UK and Europe at Ripple, said that now that MiCA is used across the EU, countries like Luxembourg can take advantage of the chance to lead the way in building their own digital assets industries. It was great to meet with 𝗙𝗶ศ์, the finance minister of Luxembourg, and other members of the Ripple team. The conversation was very good, and I left with the impression that Luxembourg is really taking advantage of the chance that is there for them. By supporting Luxembourg's efforts to become a leader in its field, Ripple is ready to back them. Besides that, we got another important news that was again about the EU. Thanks a lot to Biased Views for bringing this to our attention. Last week, Ripple and the European FinTech Association put together an interesting roundtable in Brussels that was well attended by policymakers, regulators, and industry experts. There were officials from the European Commission there, as well as leaders from both new and established companies that are very interested in shaping the future of crypto and fintech in the EU. We can look at some pictures from this event. In one picture, we can see that several groups are taking part. Some of the projects we have here are from the European Commission, 𝗙𝗶𝗵𝗹, and Axiology. If you know what Axiology is, it's another project built on the XRP system, which is great to see. Ripple was in charge of running this event. It's very important to keep an eye on these kinds of meetings and talks because they usually lead to Ripple growing into these key areas and making deals or networking with these well-known companies. For example, in response to 𝗙𝗶𝗵𝗃's post from September 26th, which was another important update we got earlier this week, I wrote about the Downing Street round that I attended with leaders from the financial and crypto industries, as well as representatives from the US and UK governments. Before the announcement of the UK-US Transatlantic Task Group for Markets of the Future, there was this meeting. A big project that will improve the close and long-lasting relationship between the UK and US in the field of financial services. The new task group will help the US and UK work together more closely on digital assets. It will also set up a way for international businesses to work together on stablecoins, tokenization, and cross-border market access. Ripple is a US-based company with a lot of operations in the UK. It is in a great situation to use its strong transatlantic presence to help both the US and UK advance technology. We're excited to help with the task force's work, which pretty much proves that 𝗙𝗶𝗵𝗃's attendance at this roundtable meeting earned Ripple's spot on the task force. I think Ripple will be a part of this task group working on stablecoins, tokenization, and cross-border market access projects, which is great news. This change was especially important because it links all of these other big Ripple changes that are happening in the EU and other important parts of Europe. Finally, there's the big deal that Ripple just made with the Kingdom of Bahrain.